Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to 2026 this morning. We've had three more teams qualify for World Cup 2020. It will be Australia, Brazil, and Ecuador. Three more teams punched their ticket. Not in too wild fashion, but 1 year in advance. Pretty nice for these teams. So Australia needed to avoid defeat by 5 goals or more against Saudi Arabia in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia did score first about 20 minutes in, but then Australia had goals on either side of halftime to get the 2-1 win, so not too much drama there. Brazil and Ecuador likely would have qualified eventually, took the drama out of it, have some time to improve the team for Brazil. Ecuador probably feeling pretty good in second place. Brazil won 1-0 against Paraguay. Vini Jr. with the goal. Ecuador tied at Peru. That was enough to push them through. So, three more teams in the field. All these teams I'd be interested in seeing next summer, 2026, which is exactly 1 year away. The World Cup will start June 11th, 2026, with 2 games in Mexico, I believe. 1 year away. Crazy. Other games of consequence took place in Asia and North America / CONCACAF. So the one we were looking at was Palestine, Oman. Palestine needed to win to move on to the next round. They were ahead for most of the game, 1-0. And then in the 97th minute, Oman scored a dodgy penalty. Didn't look like much on the replay, especially for that late in the game and a game of such consequence. But they converted it in the 97th minute, and Palestine are done. Oman are moving on to the next round. Then in CONCACAF, we had a few ties that were still up in the air. The one which pitted 2 teams for one spot was Bermuda against Cuba. And in that one, it was played in Cuba. Bermuda took a 1-0 lead into halftime. Cuba tied it up, was looking like they're going through, but then in the 74th minute, Bermuda scored to make it 2-1 and was able to hold on. So not an upset, but a surprise if you said this even a week ago, that Bermuda would be the second place team and the team moving on to the next round in CONCACAF qualification. And then the other one is El Salvador. Luckily, was able to get a draw with Suriname. They were up for grabs with Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico beat St. Vincent 2-1, and Suriname took a 1-0 lead at the time. And then also Puerto Rico was up 1-0. So there was a moment in this game where El Salvador would have not qualified for the next round, which would have been pretty tragic for them, especially in this cycle with 3 teams already in, 3 more teams, and 2 teams making the playoffs. El Salvador needs to be in that mix. This is one of the best chances they will ever have. But they're on to the next round. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the scores from yesterday. Big win for Bolivia, 2-0 against Chile. Pushes that, along with the loss by Venezuela, pushes them back to within a point of 7th place. Colombia gets a draw. A point helps, but the late goal by Argentina and the red card hurts them. Brazil, Ecuador, already mentioned. So this is what we're looking at in CONMEBOL with 2 games left. As I said, it's kind of back to even now with Venezuela 1 point of Bolivia for that 7th spot. Colombia with 22, pretty safe. Paraguay, Uruguay, nothing to worry about with only 2 games left to play. So we'll look down and see, Venezuela and Bolivia probably will come down to that last match. They don't play each other, but it'll probably come down to the last match day to see who gets 7th place. I think Colombia will be fine. So that's CONMEBOL right now. What I wish it was only 4 or 5 teams. Look how great that would be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams within 3 points of each other for 2.5 spots. That would have been pretty sick. Now on to CONCACAF. So the big one there is the second round is over. So we're moving on to the third round. The top 2 teams from each group went on. Here are the pots to begin with for round 2. And It pretty much went with the exception of Bermuda, as expected. So Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti, Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Suriname advanced. The only team in Pot 2 not to advance was Antigua and Barbuda. And in their place, Bermuda. The third round will be interesting. 3 groups of 4 teams with the winner of each group moving on to the World Cup. So we'll see some pretty balanced groups, and I think some real good soccer coming up. Next is Asia, so they were in the third round. Third round now done. Going on to the fourth round. And we're looking at these teams in blue. These are teams in the fourth round. United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Iraq, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia. They will be drawn into 2 groups of 3 teams playing a round robin with the winner of each group advancing and the 2 best second places playing for the Intercontinental Playoff. So what it says from AFC is that it will be played at a centralized site, not a neutral site. I bet it'll be in Saudi Arabia or Qatar. I bet they were hoping Saudi Arabia would already be through, but I'm thinking this will be in Saudi Arabia. That would be my guess, and they will definitely have an upper hand. I think the seeded teams are going to be Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but hopefully someone new can punch their way in as well. And lastly, we did have a few UEFA games. As I said over and over again, they're pretty early into their qualifying. Probably the significant matches here. Finland beat Poland. The other team in that group is the Netherlands, so I just think the way it goes, Netherlands will have a pretty clear path to first place in the World Cup. Finland and Poland will be fighting for second. And with this win, Finland now has an upper hand there. Latvia and Albania drew, so I think that really pushes Albania out of contention. That's England's group. England and Serbia will be the ones fighting for first there. Other games were all sort of minnows. Easy wins for Netherlands, easy wins for Austria, Romania, 2-0 over Cyprus, Serbia, easy win there. Mitrovic with the hat trick, man just scores goals. And Latvia, same guy, scored for both teams. The only scorer of the game, Cerno Mordis, the Latvian, own goal, redeems himself with a goal. So, 365 days till the World Cup kicks off. We've got some teams in, a lot more to go. Our next qualifiers won't happen until September, but don't worry, I'll be here, not every day, but I'll check in with group updates, some special guests, some deep dives into qualification and into the disappointing